Hello and welcome into WCSN's coverage of Sun Devil Hoops. I'm Eliav. Gabay. With me is the one and only Troy Tauscher. Troy, let's talk some basketball.
Let's do it.
All right, so let's talk about some young guys. Sam Cunliffe, the highest recruit since James Harden to come to ASU. How has he been so far?
It's been sort of a mixed bag for Cunliffe to start his freshman season. I mean, against the Citadel Bulldogs, he had 23 points, 10 rebounds, his best game overall of the season by far, owned the floor for much of that game. So that's a really good sign, and except for the last game against Kentucky, his points per game were steadily rising from 3 in his first game to 23 against the Bulldogs. So that's a really good sign. On the flip side, though, there have been some growing pains. He sometimes misses rotations on the defensive end. There are times when he gets a little bit of tunnel vision driving to the rim, but those are rookie mistakes that I think he'll clean up. And I don't look at his game and say, oh, he's bad completely at this. Like, he can't do this. He's a very well-rounded player. There's just little things that he has to clean up that he'll gain with experience. So overall, I think he's impressed a lot, and I think he's got a bright future with the program.
All right, Troy, let's keep it on the young guys. Jethro Tshisumpa. All right, he has been a defensive presence, and he's a pretty good rebounder for ASU.
Definitely.
Have they been underplaying him?
I mean, I think there's sort of a two-sided argument to this because on one hand, like you said, he's a good shot blocker, good rebounder. He brings something that ASU desperately lacks, which is size. And I think it's important for them to have a player like that to compete against the teams they're playing. But on the other hand, he's very raw. I mean, he's only been in this country for a couple years. He's got a lot to learn about playing basketball at the NCAA level. So overall, I think if this was a year where they were competing for a victory prize, like a high seed in the NCAA tournament or a Pac-12 title, it would make sense to play him more because he brings all those things that ASU lacks. But because this is still sort of a retooling year and they're still trying to grow and develop, I think taking the slow path with him makes a lot of sense. Just incrementally, piece by piece, increase his role, increase his minutes as he gains confidence and as he grows as a player. So I think playing him only in limited minutes right now is the smart route.
So through 7 games in this season so far, so has this ASU team underwhelmed you, kind of been at the level you expected, or have they been better than you expected?
I think they're about where I expected them to be overall. I mean, they lost to Kentucky, which they're the #1 team in the country, so kind of schedule loss there, I would say.
Yeah.
And the other game they lost was against Northern Iowa. They're also a tournament team, so a little bit of a tier above ASU. The only loss they have being 4-3 on the season that I think they probably should have won was the end of the Tire Pros Invitational against Davidson. They made a spirited comeback in the end of that game, only lost by 8 points. I think they were a beatable team, and I think ASU sort of let that one go when they shouldn't have. So I would say they're one loss worse than what I expected them to be, but I think there's been some positive signs. There's been areas of concern, but overall I think they're about on par with where they should be developmentally and as a program. So I think there's good things going on.
Well, that's all we have on the Sun Devil Hoops front. I'm Eliav Gabay, and with Troy Tauscher, this has been WCSN's coverage of ASU men's basketball. Thank you so much for joining us, and we'll see you next time.